Take your plans out of the group chat and get long weekend ready in new Abercrombie. From day to night, pack new outfits for every part of your itinerary. Grabbing brunch? Throw on the A&F Mila dress. Then head to your dinner reservation in their new bubble hem mini dress. And yes, permission to overpack for pics with the girls. Abercrombie's best-selling Scarlet Skirt deserves a post in your feed. Your plans are worth it. Shop Abercrombie's new long weekend collection online or in store.
Las Vegans love to complain about our alleged lack of public transit. But what does the agency running our very real public transportation system of buses, bike shares, and more think about this sentiment? Today on CityCast Las Vegas, we revisit a conversation with MJ Maynard, CEO of the RTC. She talks about safety on the buses, sets the record straight about how much they actually do, and discusses the challenges of operating in our car-centric city. It's Tuesday, March 25th. I'm Dayvid Filger, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. MJ, what do you think are the misconceptions about public transit in our community, especially the buses in Las Vegas?
Well, if I could, before I start talking about buses, because I think most people in Southern Nevada, when I go out into the public and I ask them, hey, what do you know about us? They all think we're the bus people. And we definitely are the bus. We are responsible to oversee and provide public transportation here in Southern Nevada. We're also the Metropolitan Planning Organization. That's kind of a big deal. So we work closely with the county and all the cities to plan transportation short and long term. We are the roadway funding agency. So we're the big giant ATM for the county and the cities in terms of, and I'm going to hate to say this, but orange cones. Lots of construction,
Boo. We do see the signs. It says, brought to you by the RTC. And I always think, why does the RTC want to put their name on the thing that's associated with those orange cones? Why?
I agree. There's some orange cone fatigue, but I want to say, too, that is progress. Lots of funding out there. And then we're also the traffic manager for the region, and we oversee and operate the bike system in downtown Las Vegas. And I tell you all that because we are the only agency in the United States, only one, that does all of those things. So mass transit, let's talk about Las Vegas. I think a lot of people, if you don't ride public transit here in Southern Nevada, I think there's this misperception that it's just for people that can't afford a car. You see somebody standing at a bus stop, you think, oh gosh, I wonder why they're taking transit. Well, let me tell you something. And people are surprised to hear this. We actually operate the 12th busiest bus system here in the United States. We have, on average, about 150,000 daily boardings. So we transport more than 52 million customers every single year. And of those 150,000 daily boardings, 80% of those riders are going to work or looking for work. So transit in every city, including Las Vegas, transit is part of the economic ecosystem. We are connecting employees to employers. A third of our routes average about 6,000 daily boardings per weekday. So of our 39 routes, 1/3 of them operate 24/7.
Oh, wow.
And these 13 routes carry over 1,000 passengers in the 3 a.m. hour. So we're really a unique agency. If you travel outside of Las Vegas, I grew up in Seattle. Most cities have this AM and PM peak, or the busiest times that people are taking transit in any respective city. But we're unique. We don't have white collar commuters that are coming in from the suburbs to the downtown city center. We have the Las Vegas Strip. We have an economy that really is based on hospitality. Our economic engine is the downtown and Las Vegas resort quarter area. And so we are moving customers 24/7, 3 shifts, which makes us very unique.
Yeah, that's Vegas, right? 3 shifts, grave
right.
days and swing. And people do need to get around. Let me ask you this, maybe more of a bigger question. How does the RTC struggle or deal with the struggle against Las Vegas's car culture?
Again, because we are the roadway funding agency, so we're certainly concerned with how, cars are traveling on the freeway systems. We manage NDOT's equipment. We are certainly concerned about cars that are traveling on the streets and arterials because we manage all the traffic intelligent transportation devices for the county and cities. But it is about choice, right? And not only are there folks that don't have access to a car, or maybe they come from a household where it's a one car household.
Mhm.
There are a lot of folks, and listen, I gave birth to a millennial. There's a lot of folks that would prefer not to have to get into a car and to take transit. Uh, but we have not invested, David. We have not invested in mobility here in Southern Nevada in over 20 years. And I tell you that because our transit system, while I think we do a lot with very little, we have limited funding because we haven't invested. Our transit system is not as frequent as it could be, and it is not operating in all parts of the valley in that robust way that it could be due to funding. So I think
When you say we aren't investing, do you mean the cities? Do you mean the county? Do you mean the state? Or is it all of the above?
really it's all of the above. We have
Mm.
we receive. So we've done a study. We've looked around the United States and we asked, how do other transit systems, how are they supported financially? What's the funding model look like? And in most cities, we looked at, sales tax is the main funding source for public transit. But in our research, we know that we fall well below the mean. So we don't invest as much sales tax or funding here in Southern Nevada as other cities do. And I think that's apparent. If you're a transit rider, I'll tell you, it could be tough, right? They want more frequency. They want to not have to stand at a bus stop for 20 minutes when it's 110 degrees outside. It could be really
Right.
difficult, right? So I think in the future, we will have to go out for some kind of funding source, whether it's a ballot question, because we do face a fiscal cliff in our transit fund. And I'm hoping, and I know hope is not a good business strategy, but I'm certainly hoping that our community wants to invest further so that the mobility here is better, because I think our community deserves it.
The first ever TEDx Las Vegas event is happening on April 5th at the Keep Memory Alive Event Center in downtown Las Vegas. TEDx Las Vegas is more than a local event, it's a global platform. After the talks, they're shared with 42 million subscribers worldwide on the official TEDx YouTube channel. Speakers this time will include an Olympic gold medalist, a former member of the Raiders, a filmmaker, a restaurateur, a climate scientist, educators, performers, and more. Personally, I'm excited to see poets and community activists Rodney Lee and Elizabeth Allen Berry, as well as Neon Museum Executive Director Aaron Berger. Tickets start at $150 for general admission and $250 for VIP, which includes priority seating, a commemorative gift, and entry to a dine-around dinner post-event. Limited tickets remain, so grab yours at www.tedxlasvegas.org/tickets.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does, without me lifting a finger. So I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
You know, I used to hear a rumor that, and tell me if this is a fun fact or a myth, that the RTC in Vegas was one of the only break-even transit systems in the country. Is that a truth? And if it is, how do we manage that?
So transportation does not generate a profit. Transit everywhere, maybe except for internationally, but here in the United States, transit is subsidized, right? It takes an investment. But you are partially right, because the Las Vegas Strip, we used to operate 2 routes, the Las Vegas Strip. It's our Deuce on our double-deck bus. I'm sure a lot of people have seen
the
that.
Deuce.
And then pre-pandemic, we also had another route that we eliminated due to the pandemic. But with that being said, before Uber and Lyft started operating here in Southern Nevada, which was in 2015, fall of 2015, the Strip route was the only route in the U.S. that generated a profit. So we made over $6 million in the extra revenue, if you will, and we used that to help support the local transit service that we continue to offer today. But, again, it's about choices. And so because there are so many choices, whether it's Uber, Lyft, there's still taxis, et cetera. We've seen a pretty big decline in our ridership and our revenue because of that. But you are right. We used to generate a profit. It was great.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest barrier for people using the existing transit system is right now?
I think it's walkability. So I think it's where we're certainly a car-centric city, but we're also built with communities that are surrounded by walls to some degree. So if you want to get out to if you could live in a community and there's a bus stop on Charleston, for example, it may take you a bit of time to walk to the bus stop. So that's one. So walkability is a factor. Certainly, heat. We went on record with the hottest summer here last summer, and that's really difficult when you are a transit rider to have to deal with those extreme elements. And then I think it's the frequency. If you have to rely on a route that may take you 45 minutes to an hour to get from point A to point B,
Yeah.
and you factor in walking and all of that, many times if you had a choice, you would take a car. We're not where we want to be. We know that we could improve because we could offer more frequent service. And I think that inhibits a lot of folks from wanting to use transit because your commute could be twice that of somebody that's driving a car.
Yeah. I also like some of the marketing campaigns that you all have done in the past, and it always gets me excited when I see one and I'm like, yeah, I need to be riding the bus more. But one of the other issues that's out there, and not for me necessarily, but I've heard it from friends and others because, we read the newspapers too. There's this issue of safety around the community. And, we see these stories about that there's people out of control on the buses, they're threatening or killing other people, that sort of thing. How do you get around the reality and the perception of safety on the buses, on the transit?
David, I'm so glad you asked that question. I will tell you that transit is one of the last truly public spaces, right? So transit is this sort of rolling microcosm of what's happening in any urban city. So if in your urban core, you have an unhoused, got folks that have nowhere to live, you have folks that are out there with mental illness, drug addiction, maybe it's all of that combined. If you see it on the streets, you're going to see it on public transit. I will tell you that we have invested millions of dollars to help mitigate instances that could occur in our buses. We were the first transit system in the U.S. Back in 2016. We implemented driver barriers for the driver's safety. We're actually today enhancing those so they're fully enclosed. We asked our board to approve we took a multi-million-dollar increase in what we're spending on our transit contractor security officers. So we have now over 350 transit security officers that are all fully armed. We use technology to understand where and data to understand what incidents are occurring, and then we deploy those officers out there. First agency in the U.S. to implement something called Zero Eyes, and that is artificial intelligence analytics where at any of our transit facilities, it's a gun detection, and so we're able, and we are able to do that in real time. We have live look-in cameras so that at any point in time, any bus that's out operating, not only do we have access to monitor what's happening on the bus in real time, but all the police department also can do that as well. But I won't take away from the fact that it could be a tough job. I think anytime you work in the public, it can be a tough job. But our whether it's a passenger on passenger assault or it's a passenger on driver assault, our statistics keep coming down and we're seeing an improvement. So I don't want to take away like the drivers do. They are amazing. It's again, not an easy job when you work with the public and you're working with, I call it, we love all, serve all. We serve everybody. And that means if you are someone that is not going to do the right thing, many times we don't know that until you get on the bus. Looking at our system here in Las Vegas compared to others, we actually have a relatively low number of assaults, whether it's passenger on passenger or passenger on operator. And even though I will tell you one is too many, we were doing as much as we can to ensure that we are all over it. And that is investing in technology, investing in officers, investing in driver enclosures to ensure that our passengers and drivers feel safe.
Hear that? It's SpringFest savings calling your name, only at Lowe's. Right now, get a free Select Ego 56-volt battery when you buy a Select Ego trimmer, blower, or mower. Plus, get your choice of any 2 bags of Miracle-Gro organic soil mix for only $16. Shop these can't-miss deals in-store or online today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 4/2. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Excludes Hawaii.
Hi, this is Javon, your Blinds.com design consultant.
Oh, wow. A real person.
Yep. I'm here to help with everything from selecting the perfect window treatments to...
Well, I've got a complicated project.
No problem. I can even help schedule a professional measure and install. We can also send you samples fast and free.
I just might have to do more.
Whatever you need.
So the first room we're looking at is for...
Shop Blinds.com now and save up to 45% on select styles. Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
MJ, we had airport director Rosemary Vasiliadis on the podcast recently, and we asked her why more people aren't using buses to get to and from the airport. And she said that she wished that they would and that it would solve a lot of their congestion problems, but that she doesn't know why it's not more popular. And then she said, well, if you ever get a chance to talk to MJ, that would be a really good question for her. So why aren't we seeing more public transit use to and from our airport?
You know, the fact that we do not operate a transit system that runs from the downtown to the Strip to the airport is hard to explain to others. It is, I think for the airport, it's about their existing footprint. We have asked in the past to expand the number of routes that we offer at the airport, but they're landlocked. And so we only have 2 bays, 2 areas buses can pull into at the 0 level at Terminal 1, and then 1 area at Terminal 3. So we would absolutely love to provide more transit service to the airport. You know, we see over 42 million tourists here every year, and many of those tourists are international. And where they come from, they ride public transit. So we certainly hear that folks that travel to Las Vegas, they actually look for public transit, and we don't have a direct connection to the Strip. And so it makes it difficult. So we would love to work closely as the airport looks to expand our footprint, because people do want to ride public transit that travel here. They don't want to just necessarily rely on a taxi, Uber, or Lyft, particularly when they're used to doing that at where they're coming from, right?
I have seen buses, as you mentioned, down on 0 level. Do they get used enough?
Oh, they do. Actually, it is the Maryland Parkway. It's the 109. It's one of our busiest transit. We have 9,000 riders on just the 109 every single day. Many of them are taking that to get to the airport. So we, again, because we survey our customers, we know a lot of the employees of Harry Reid International use public transit to get to work. So it's a busy route, no doubt about it.
I want to focus on one of the biggest projects that's happening right now. That's the BRT on Maryland Parkway, which I think stands for Bus Rapid Transit. It does seem to be a huge endeavor. Can you give us a description of what the BRT is and why we're doing that?
So Maryland Parkway is as I mentioned earlier, it's the 109. It's one of our busiest routes, but it's also one of the busiest and congested corridors, arterials here in Southern Nevada. So today we operate a bus system, the 109, that runs from the airport down Maryland Parkway, past UNLV, past the mall, the hospital, and then eventually gets into downtown Las Vegas. And it's a busy system. However, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, we knew that we needed to implement something called high capacity transit. What does that mean? Is that light rail? Is that BRT or bus rapid transit? We heard from the community, and at that time, the community wanted light rail on Maryland Parkway. However, we did not and still do not have the funding to operate light rail. And so we implemented a bus rapid. We're implementing today as we speak a 13-mile bus rapid transit project. It's home to 90,000 residents, in the Maryland Parkway area, 85,000 jobs. Maryland Parkway carries today about 35,000 vehicles, and again, 9,000 transit riders daily. So it's a major corridor, and it connects again from the Harry Reid International Airport. It will travel all the way through downtown into the Las Vegas Medical District. it's going to be a chance for whether it is enhanced transit shelters. We're going to have 40 enhanced transit shelters, shared bus bike lanes, widened sidewalks, upgraded pedestrian crossings, landscape enhancements, and new lighting. And so we're looking really to improve the way that people bike, walk, and take transit, and as well as drive a car, but really to improve the experience in Maryland Parkway.
You mentioned light rail. I think a lot of people say they want light rail. You said it's very expensive. Will we ever be in a position to have light rail in our community? And I guess the follow-up to that is light rail all it's cracked up to be for a city like Las Vegas?
We've done some modeling. What does that mean? We have some really smart engineers and planners that work here at the RTC. We work with international consultants, and we've modeled out actually if funding were available and we could operate light rail in the resort corridor below ground, it would be the most profitable light rail system in the U.S. But to your point, we have not invested in mobility in over 20 years. Even though there are federal grants out there, if you don't have money in the bank to match that federal dollar amount that you potentially go after, very difficult. So light rail is expensive and light rail takes a long time to implement. But when you look at, for example, the resort corridor, we're landlocked there as well. Same asphalt footprint. Same asphalt footprint has been in place for decades, yet we now have T-Mobile Arena. We have Allegiant Stadium. We have the A's Stadium coming. We have Brightline coming to that south end of the Strip, which will be dropping off about 900 passengers every hour.
I'm going to say knock on wood for those last two, the A Stadium and Brightline. Until I see actual dirt being moved, I'm still in the tentative category, but please continue.
So, Dave, listen, I agree. I've been here in Las Vegas since 1980, and I've heard all the talk about high-capacity transit, the bullet train, the speed, the train. So we've heard about the train for a long time, but it really is happening. And most of the work is done on the California side. They're actually starting out as we speak. They received a lot of federal funding for the project. And the A Stadium, from what I'm being told, it is happening.
Well, we're all being told, okay. Both of those suffer from the same thing that the RTC suffers from, in that, the financing has not been announced as being in place. And both of those are private funding. And,
correct.
They have the public funds in place, but not the private. So I'm going to hold my breath, which means I won't be passing out, hopefully, but we'll see. But yeah, so that's changing a lot. And let me ask this, and maybe this is like the $1 million question. A lot of people are saying, I don't want to use buses, but I would definitely use light rail. Do you think they're lying? I mean, do you think people will actually use something like light rail if we do invest into it?
I think it depends on where it's going, right? I mean, we've seen cities around the U.S. that ask the public to pay for a light rail system that sometimes goes to nowhere. It has to make sense. It has to be the origin and destination. But I do think, I think it's a balance between how much it costs and how long it takes to implement. But I do think light rail systems if you travel outside of the country, light rail, subways, commuter rails work really, really well. And there are areas here in the United States where they work really well. I think it has a place here in Southern Nevada. We just don't have, the funding, at least not at this time.
MJ Maynard, thank you so much for joining us today on CityCast Las Vegas.
David, I loved it. Anytime you want to talk about buses because they are sexy, call me.
And that's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? You could rate our show too, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Till then, stay lucky. And the buses don't stink anymore. That's such a bad myth. The buses smell great. You don't use the same gasoline or something. I mean, it's nice in there.
It's very nice in there. I welcome anyone to come and take transit because it really is. I think we do a good job. I think the team does a great job.